that you recognize their brand, but they can also encourage you to spend more money on their products. Stay tuned if you want to see how. You'll have to watch this video until the end to see how McDonald's is associated with Freud. If this is your first time visiting our channel, don't forget to subscribe to The Things and give this video a big thumbs up. Today we are showing you the psychology behind famous logos. Google. Did you know that preschoolers as young as 3 years old can easily recognize a logo and develop an attachment to a brand? That's because the kids need to understand the world around them. And to do that, they need to decode what they see and associate the golden arches with the hamburger. That's just how language is made, and companies love to have children as their target audience. As grown-ups, we can recognize a logo in less than a second. There is even a game just for that. And when we see something that we know, it can light up areas of our brain that are associated with self-identity, reward, and emotions. When we don't recognize a brand, our brain has to process more information and usually associates it with a negative emotion. This is why more than half of the customers are more likely to buy a product from a brand that they already know. We've seen the Google logo so many times that we can recognize it just by its colors or the shape of the letters. This is why the company dares to show us Google Doodles on special occasions, and we still recognize the most popular search engine in the world, no matter how it changed. We don't even need the whole logo to recognize the brand. Only one aspect is enough to feel this familiarity, and that's the crazy power of the logo. KFC. Have you noticed the color red on most of the fast food restaurant logos? And it's not only Kentucky Fried Chicken. It also includes brands like McDonald's, Burger King, Wendy's, Pizza Hut, Domino's Pizza, and much more. Do you know the influence that a color can have? When people buy something, 62% to 90% of them choose to buy a product based on the color alone. According to a study in the journal Management Decision in 2006, the color itself can say something. For example, blue inspires trust, calm, and security. Yellow is more optimistic, playful, and confident. You can also use green to represent the nature and black for something more luxurious. But what about red? This time the color isn't only passionate, bold, and exciting, but it can also have a psychological impact on you. According to popular belief, red makes you hungry. The logo is red to encourage you to enter the fast food restaurant, and you will probably see the color red somewhere in the room to encourage you to eat more food. Unfortunately, there are no scientific studies to back this up, and some of them actually say the opposite. So for now, this is nothing but a myth. Do you think that the color red makes you hungrier? Tell us what you think in the comments section below. Twitter. In 2012, the social media adopted a new bluebird as their logo. There are not a lot of differences. There are now fewer details on the bird, and it is in a different angle. But this change has more impact than what you might think. As we have said before, the color blue represents trust, calm, and security, so users know that Twitter is a reliable platform. But that's not all. The company explained that the geometry of the popular bird was simplified. It is made out of 3 sets of overlapping circles. The designers explain that it is similar to how your network's interests and ideas connect and intersect with peers and friends. Simplicity is also more appreciated by the human eye, which makes the logo more appealing. But one of the most important aspects of this new logo is probably the angle. This simple difference can change the way we see the company. Instead of looking straight forward, the bluebird is going up in the sky. As the company itself says it, a bird in flight is the ultimate representation of freedom, hope, and limitless possibility. And it is above Earth to take a broad view of the world with all the other birds. We couldn't think of a better way to represent the popular social media. It is always difficult to create a new logo, but this time, we think that Twitter really succeeded. Gillette. When a brand targets men, you can clearly see it simply by the look of their logos, and Gillette is a great example of that. The slogan of this company is, "The best a man can get." So even though they're selling products to women too, we know who are the customers that they have in mind. You might think that the logo is just a word, but the way it is written actually says a lot. Vertical lines in the letters are associated with masculinity and strength. The letters also have more straight edges, which is associated with strength, professionalism, and efficiency. These are all qualities that a man wants to have. And in case you haven't noticed yet, the letters G and I are also cut with a razor blade to make the logo more dynamic. If you don't believe that it has anything to do with making the logo more appealing to men, just look at how other brands try to get the attention of their masculine clientele. As you can see, they like bold capital letters and square-shaped letters. We can't believe that brands have to do all these things to show that men can use their products too, but wait until you see what they need to do to make their logo more feminine. It just gets worse. Bic. Gillette also sells products to women, and when they do, their logo changes drastically to make it more appealing to their feminine clientele. We see this kind of thing so many times that we just get used to it, but many women think that Bic went a little too far. The original logo can be seen as masculine with the bold capital letters and the colors, but when they want to sell pencils to women, they add more curves to the letters and make the product pink or purple. That's because cursive scripts and curved typefaces appeal more to women. But this kind of branding comes with a price. Bic charges more for pens targeted at women because they are pink, small, and bejeweled. But why do they even need a pen like that? This is what we call the woman tax. In 2010, Consumer Reports reported that equivalent products in a drugstore, like razors, shampoo, or deodorant, cost more when they are targeted to women. Most of the time, the only difference is a curvier logo, more feminine colors, and maybe a different smell. And when feminine products cost $2 more every time, gendered pricing costs add up to almost $1,400 a year. The craziest thing is that most of us accept that just because the brand convinced us that this is what we needed as women. Adidas. A line might be simple, but it actually says a lot. So imagine what we can do with 3 lines. They quickly became the trademark for Adidas, as we can see them on our favorite sports clothes and shoes. But what do they actually mean? The first logo, the trefoil, used from 1971 to 1997, represented the main landmasses of America, Asia, and Europe and Africa. The lines across this symbol were associated with diversity. Then, in 1997, Adidas got a new logo, and we have to admit that this is our favorite. This time, the shape of the 3 lines represented mountains and the obstacles that athletes need to overcome to achieve their goals. Once again, we could see the square shape that is associated with strength, professionalism, and efficiency, and the vertical lines that represent masculinity and strength. But with a new angle and a slightly different shape, they made it more unique and dynamic. Since 2005, you can now see 3 horizontal lines in the logo. This time it represents community, tranquility, and calm, as the company became more mature over the years. And no matter what, the vertical lines in the name of the brand could be associated with strength. Who thought that Adidas changed so much over almost 50 years? The best way to see their evolution is simply by looking at their 3 different logos. Skype. You might not believe in everything you see here. After all, maybe this brand chose to use a circle because this shape looked good. But in our subconscious mind, everything we see is associated with something, and this is what gives it meaning. And designers are working hard to understand the psychology of the logo to use these symbols to their advantage. They have a message to tell with the color, the shape, the font, and the symbols. And this is why we say that a picture is worth 1,000 words. Take the new Skype logo, for example. This blue circle, similar to a cloud, looks really simple. But there is a reason why Skype didn't choose a green square instead. The circle is associated with many positive things like friendship, love, relationships, and community. As we can see in most of their advertisements, Skype wants people to stay in contact, no matter where they are in the world. This is why the circle is the perfect shape for their new logo. And don't forget the meaning of the color blue. This app makes them feel secure, calm, honest, caring, and trustworthy, just like their family. So even though the company can sometimes change their logo, it is always easy to recognize them. FedEx. Many companies simply use their name as their logo, but don't underestimate this symbol. The font can say much more than what you might think. They show the personality of your brand. This is why White Mountain Footwear said that they saw a 20% increase in sales after redesigning their font. As we have seen before, when products are targeted to men, you can often see bold capital letters and straight lines. When companies want to sell products to women, they will make the lines tinier and add much more curves. But there are many other things that you need to know about fonts. When you use serif fonts, as Gap does, you make your brand look more traditional, professional, and trustworthy. However, it can also make you look outdated, mostly if you use it online. The sans serif fonts are mostly used on the internet as they are clean and modern, but be careful not to look like everyone else. And now, let's talk about one of the best fonts we've seen in a logo, FedEx. All the letters are really close to each other to show that this service is fast. But what we like most is not the font itself, but what we can see between the letters. There is an arrow between the E and the X. This is probably why FedEx won so many design awards. Apple. If colors, shapes, and fonts can say so many things, imagine what you can do with a symbol. No one clearly understands why Apple is represented by this fruit, but we have many theories. Some people think that this is an homage to Alan Turing, a computer scientist who ended his life by biting into an apple full of cyanide. But this is just a myth. The only reason why there is a bite into this apple is so we can clearly understand that it is not a cherry or a tomato. An apple can actually be associated with a lot of things, and this is what makes it so interesting. The first logo of the company was a drawing of Newton sitting under a tree with an apple that was about to fall on his head. This is why we think that the fruit represents knowledge, as we get access to a lot of information when we use a computer. But Jonathan Schroeder, who studied social psychology, thinks that it means much more than that. According to him, the fruit is associated with deeper cultural connections. For example, it can be associated with the story of Adam and Eve when they bit into an apple. Therefore, Apple would be seen as a rebellious young company gaining knowledge in transgression. And there are a lot of new things that you can learn when you think of where you have seen this fruit before. Do you have any other ideas? McDonald's. Many logos hide something that could be a little more inappropriate, and there is one of these symbols hidden in a logo that you see almost every day: McDonald's. If you don't see it now, turn the logo upside down and you will have a better idea. You still don't see it? You are not the only one, because many people think that we unconsciously see this symbol. And what is hidden in the golden arches are women's breasts. In the 60s, the company hired a psychologist, Louis Cheskin, who came up with the new logo and said that the arches would send a subliminal message to attract customers. He called it the Mother McDonald's breasts and said that it would have an impact on the mind of customers according to a Freudian theory. This is also why their old slogan was "Give Mom a Night Off." No matter what, the company is now the most popular fast food restaurant in the world. So we could say that Cheskin was right. Or maybe the color red has something to do with it too, because some people believe that it makes you hungrier. Or is it simply because the Big Macs and the McNuggets are really good? We want to know if you believe in any of these funny theories, so don't be shy to tell us what you think in the comment section down below. And that's it for the psychology behind famous logos. For more stories like this,